I told you yesterday that there's a pretty infuriating phenomenon taking place right now where Maga, now that Trump has won, goes, bah, we knew all along. What do I mean? They say, we knew that we did try to block the peaceful transfer of power, and the media was correct about that, as Nick Fuentes said. They've gone, we do believe these horrible things that you've accused us of about women. And now we have Joe Rogan here going, wait, maybe it is true that Trump lies blatantly and viciously. This is my characterization of what you're about to hear Rogan say about our democratic systems and process. Nah, who cares? It's infuriating, but here it is. While you're watching this clip, please do remember to click that subscribe button. Yesterday, we were back in the positives of people subscribing, looking like people are getting back engaged, understanding the importance of that after a momentary pause for some, which I totally understand. So if you want to support in that, click the subscribe button. We are still trying to get to 1 million subscribers, as that seems slightly less relevant right now, even though it still is, of course, a goal.
So, turns out voting works. It's real. As much as we fucking thought they had it rigged, as much as we thought there was shenanigans and bullshit and it's just a puppet show and there's no way anybody could buck the system, turns out voting is still real.
Oh my gosh. You don't say. You don't say. Joe, who was telling you that before? Who could explain that to you before your guy won? Before we knew who was going to win, who was telling you that was the case? We were. Any introspection? Nah. Cause we won, so we don't care. But here's what's exciting. All of them admitting and going mask off, it will motivate us so much. And I'm telling you this, not in any way that's supposed to be intimidating or anything, just politically, you will regret this, MAGA. You will regret admitting and showing your true colors and lying about democracy for this long. You're right. You got us this time. I don't deny that. And you feel emboldened. But just this morning, we spent 4 hours working on something that will be our little part. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are going to be doing their part to make sure it doesn't happen again. A reminder of Joe Rogan just days before the election, entertaining Trump's election delusions.
I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over again that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed? Everybody always cuts you off. I'm going to allow...
Well, they not only cut you off. Well, what I'd rather do is we'll do it another time, and I would bring in papers that you would not believe. So many different papers. That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay, but give me some examples of how.
Well, let's start on the top and the easy ones.
Okay.
They were supposed to get legislative approval to do the things they did, and they didn't get it. In many cases, they didn't get it.
What things?
Anything.
Legislative approval
like
of...
for extensions of the voting, for voting earlier, for this,
right.
For all different things. By law, they had to get legislative approvals. You don't have to go any further than that. If you take a look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted that the election was rigged, robbed, and stolen. They wouldn't give access in certain areas to the ballots because the ballots weren't signed. They weren't originals. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present this ever? Do you think like?
Let me just give you one more
go
before. 51 intelligence agents come up that the laptop was from Russia. It turned out to be totally false.
51 former intelligence agents, right?
They say that made. I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost.
And we watched this already, and I went through each of the points that he just listed off there, and they're completely ridiculous. And so we circle back to this.
So, turns out voting works. It's real. As much as we fucking thought they had it rigged.
Isn't it hilarious? We spent the whole time Biden was president telling people we should throw out our entire system of government. Trump saying the Constitution could be terminated because all of the vote counting processes had been tainted, and it was all rigged because we just took Trump's word for it. Even when he tries to explain it, it was completely incoherent. It was mumbo jumbo, and we were wrong. Well, shoot, who cares now? And one of the things that I said, I think it was in the bonus show yesterday, was MAGA will never know how it feels to have their democracy attacked like we had to experience. They'll never know how it feels to not know if the peaceful transfer of power is going to happen when you win. They knew for certain, and we're seeing it play out admirably, that if Trump won, Biden, Harris would accept it. Biden inviting Trump to the White House, saying there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. He respects the legitimacy of our democracy as much as he disagrees with the results. Because he has character. Harris has character. We have character, and we care about our democracy enough to even accept its results when Trump loses, when Trump wins, when the worst happens. But y'all will never know, because you don't care like we do, how it feels to be on the receiving end of an assault on our democracy. Because we're just not in a fair situation. You all can spend years lying and attacking the legitimacy of the foundation of our entire system. And when you're done with it, and Americans, because of a bunch of reasons we've been discussing that are largely rational, when they go, let's try out the Trump guy again, we still accept it. Even though Biden, when you question his win, didn't have billionaires buying platforms to help him. Biden didn't have Russia interfering to help him. Biden wasn't saying the Constitution should be terminated. Biden didn't get fraudulent electors and try to count them last time he ran a race. Biden was intending on and did govern in large part for all Americans, often disproportionately benefiting red areas with some of the policies like the infrastructure projects. But still, you lied. And Trump actually does embody the things I just listed off, and we're still willing to accept the legitimacy of our democracy. You should try it, because it's sort of how this whole thing keeps going on. And no, it's not funny, Rogan. We just found out it was totally all bogus. Oh my God, Trump was lying the whole time. It's not funny. It's as real as it gets. And when history's written about this time, people will not be able to get their head around how the Rogans of the world, the PBDs of the world, the Logan Pauls of the world, whoever was doing interviews with Trump, convinced their largely men audiences to look past the most important part of our entire American system because they misunderstood inflation and the cause of it, or they misunderstood global conflicts, or they misunderstood manliness. Here's Van Jones on CNN.
Got beat. We got beat because the Republicans and the conservatives built a different media system that had to do with online, had to do with podcasts, had to do with streaming platforms, and they were spending their money there. We were laughing at them and knocking on doors in Philadelphia and Detroit. It's like, there's no Trump people. They're not dropping literature. They're not knocking on doors.
Well, in fact, it was laughing like, oh, Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk with their PACs don't know what they're doing.
We were making fun of Donald Trump for having thrown away his ground game and doing some weird stuff online. We thought that they were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots. We woke up in a body bag because while we were knocking on doors, they were making these phones into 24-hour-a-day political weapons for themselves. And so we got outflanked, outplayed, outbeat by people who told us the whole time that they knew what they were doing.
This is a part of it. Again, there's something more structural. We talked about that already in the anti-incumbent bias and what has been taking place across the Western world with the reaction to pandemic conditions. But there's also this. A lot of people were reached by Trump because the Joe Rogans of the world decided they were going to sit there and caress Trump's leg the entire episode instead of ask a single real question and pretend like Trump was just a guy you could get a beer with, you know? He's just a guy's guy, except for the whole coup thing. But everything else, he's just a guy. Guy's guy, not guy. And Trump did make inroads with groups, and we should definitely adjust, and hopefully we will. We should show up where people are, meet people where they are, on the podcasts, on the World Wide Web. But I've heard it now from so many people. Oh, so I guess elections aren't rigged. That's crazy. Okay, moving on. And you know what, Maga? Use this in a clip, me going crazy, because I am. That's crazy. You're crazy. Really? 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 We have been shouting from the rooftops. You just lost last time, but you could win next time. Focus on that. Stop lying about our elections and attacking them, literally. Stop saying we could terminate all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, because of the rigged election. And just focus on actually winning. And then you win and you go, all right, we agree now. Whew. We are going to have more fire under our ass. More motivation than you've ever seen. Just wait.